Hello, everyone. My name is Keely Denenberg. I'm Senior VP of Client Solutions here at Orange Grove Consulting. Today, I'm joined by Kelly Watson, who's Managing Partner at Orange Grove. And we're going to be talking about AI as it relates to human resources. And Kelly, you and I know AI is everywhere. The talk of AI, what it can do, what it might do, how it will change everything. And so I wanted to ask you a couple of questions as it relates to what you're thinking about about AI in the areas that we work in terms of talent management. So I want to start with hiring. So how do you see AI being used now or potentially in the future for hiring? And for today's purposes, let's set aside data privacy concerns and talk about non-data privacy as it relates to AI and hiring.
Sure, sure. Well, we know there are organizations already using this. Google is doing a lot to screen candidates using AI. It's had some problems, and they've been, I think Amazon also had some of these problems where bias had crept in because, they program the algorithm based on previous data, and previous data, we know had all kinds of bias and flaws and issues with it. But assuming you can correct for that, and assuming you can also tell the AI to look for that, which I think they can, it's a really great tool because you think about the number of candidates that apply for roles, and how candidates have sort of figured out the game for how to match keywords to job descriptions and things. And presumably we can use AI to help stay ahead of that gaming of the system and really get an opportunity to process massive amounts of applications in an efficient way and really get to these are the candidates that we're looking for. So I also think that the potential is then for more analytics to look at those pipelines and see how are those pipelines coming together. And if they're not very diverse, then AI could help flag that and help us correct for maybe where bias is sneaking back into the processes. So I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in hiring, and some of it's being used already. And more to come.
Right. Thank you. So the next area I wanted to pick your brain about related to AI is talent assessment, how we assess talent once they are kind of in the pipeline, once they're employees. Tell me a little bit about that and how you're thinking about AI.
Yeah, well, I think that this has a huge opportunity because let's face it, managers are pretty bad at discerning talent. They think they're good at it, but there's just so much evidence, right, that discernment is problematic. And I think that what AI can do is really take out the subjective parts of discernment, and assuming that we have programmed it right to really focus on objective things. I think it's great that machines machines do some of that discernment. Obviously, they can process a lot more dimensions at a given time, which is super helpful. I think that our limitation with using machines in the past has simply been, how many elements that we think we can manage in that. Whereas I think AI has the opportunity to be able to process so many more variables and come up with optimization. And of course, it's learning and tracking this as it goes, so it can be optimizing as it goes. And with feedback, really have the opportunity to make something incredible happen here. And I think it won't take away from managers having to be discerning and having to hone these skills, but I think AI can work alongside managers and help them hone those skills by providing feedback on a constant basis about how well their discernment is going. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's a
I'm
good
excited.
point.
I think this
Yeah.
is probably the biggest area of opportunity.
So the machines can help teach the humans.
Humans
Yeah.
and vice
Right.
versa. And it's a
Yeah.
constant feedback loop because I think that that's it. It's processing a lot of variables and also having feedback,
Yeah.
and then being able to nudge us away from our biases.
Love it. And the final area I wanted to ask you about, you touched on a little bit when we talked about hiring, but HR analytics, people analytics. How do you see AI being utilized in that space now or in the future?
Yeah, I think, the first being able to manage just an incredible number of variables that are constantly changing. I think that that's, a big opportunity. But the second is that there's a lot of data out there in our ecosystem or in our workplaces, such as, employee surveys, comments that people might post in social media, things that they're posting, even email exchanges that are going along around, and the opportunity to qualitatively assess those comments and get a sense for how are people feeling? Are people feeling engaged? Because it is something that can change daily. It can change. There can be trends over time. And I think AI has the ability to process and to keep sort of a finger on the pulse of people's levels of engagement, whether or not their mental health is in a good place, by monitoring all of these different forms of communication in a way that, simple data analytics would take humans a long time to be able to do. And I know that Microsoft's experimenting with some of this. Unfortunately, they've really focused on the productivity side of it by looking through your, how quickly you respond to email and things like that, and using their platform to collect analytics there. But I think that AI gives us the potential to make that much bigger. I have heard of some folks doing projects in healthcare, for example, which is a field that, particularly during the pandemic, people were very stressed out. Employees were experiencing burnout. But I know of a project where someone's actually trying to monitor that sentiment throughout the organization in various levels of communication to try to pinpoint where is the next sort of problem area with respect to burnout, so that interventions can be targeted pretty directly. And I think that that has huge benefit and possibility for, just making people's lives better, which is really incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, will also add one thing, that all of the things you talked about require organizations to collect their data and keep
Yes.
it. So I think that's one thing we want to point out to anyone watching this, is that if you're going to use these tools, you need to have the data to give to the tool. So maybe that's our word of advice for the day, to start collecting now. So thank you so much, Kelly. This was great. Thank you everyone for joining us and listening, and back to our YouTube channel to see more micro conversations like this one. Thank you.